Hey guys, what's going on? This would be my first live stream. I'm just going to be doodling around, testing this kind of out to see what the quality is like. I'm just going to quick make a brush, and I'm going to kind of just keep it to one single brush this whole painting. I'm going to do a hard edge on the top and then kind of a softer one on the bottom. That way I can get some nice, whoops. It's very easy to blend with this brush. Bear with me as this is all a little slow starting off. Just trying to eliminate that hard edge on the bottom. So in case you don't know how to create a brush, this is how you can do it. You just open a new document, create whatever you want, have it on one layer, merge it if you need, then you go to edit, edit, define brush preset, and name it accordingly, however you'd prefer. And it's also going to go off of what your canvas size is. So I think this is like 500 by 500 pixels. And since I didn't use all of that, this brush is going to be 261 pixels default at every time. But obviously you can change that if need be. So I don't need that anymore. Don't need to save it. And then you can come back to your main thing. And just gonna kind of play around and doodle. Something knocking on my desk, I'm sorry. Ooh, there actually is. I need to change some things in this brush. Oh, good. So I want no spacing. I'm going to turn opacity jitter on because I want pen pressure. I actually don't want size jitter. I want to keep it whatever size I choose. Pen pressure for opacity jitter. Keep that at 0. Smoothing and spacing. That should be it. I'm gonna resave that out because mine does not like to save. Kill that first one. That's much better. Just gonna kind of play around with some shapes here. See if I can get a good composition and something that may look appealing. I don't know yet. This is sort of laggy while streaming, so bear with me. I don't want to do full-on black yet. I want to kind of keep the extremes out, so I won't use 100% black or 0 dot white. I want to kind of hold off on that till the end if I truly want to push the contrast that far, but right now I'm going to kind of keep it in the neutral mid-range grays. Might push a little bit brighter than this. Let's see. It's a little laggy, but it's not terrible. So I'm just blocking in shapes. I'm gonna kind of keep it simple with lighter stuff in the foreground, or the background, excuse me, darker in the foreground. Kind of create some like rock pillars, something cool. Like this shape up here is kind of bothering me. But I'm probably getting too far into details right now. Shouldn't be worrying about it. Up some sort of like stream right here, a stream while streaming. I got a little too dark. Man, this color picker is kind of being weird right now. There we go. I really like this brush that you can, on the top side of it is the hard round brush, and the bottom portion is a soft round brush. You can get a lot of cool blending options with that. Some hard edges and then soft blending if need be. Kind of bouncing back and forth from going into broad shapes, and then I'll do some little bit of detail, just kind of finding different rock formations that I like. I'm not liking this one, but just painting on one layer right now. Well, I have the background in gray, and then all my drawing on one layer. That way you can kind of carve into the shapes. You know, I'll pick the negative space and paint out different shapes from that way. That way I'm not worrying about, oh, what layer is this on, because that time will come later as you get farther into the painting. But that doesn't matter so much right now, as I'm just kind of trying to find the composition, and yeah, some good subject matter. So kind of jumped into this, you know, I didn't have anything planned for this. I just wanted to, it's mainly to test out the stream, but I figured I might as well spend that time painting as well. And obviously right now I'm not worrying about colors. I just want to get a value sketch down, and then I may colorize that, or I may just start again and then use this as reference for something in the future, or it just may turn out like crap. I have no idea. So when you're doing a landscape painting, it's kind of a given that you'll have, your horizontal shapes are always a given. These straight across lines, the horizon line, different points of perspective. It's just almost natural in all landscape paintings that there are strong horizontal shapes and structures and whatever else. So what can really change a landscape painting is your vertical composition, your vertical lines, your vertical shapes. So that's where it really becomes fun, because if you kind of lack any vertical shapes, I don't know, sometimes your painting's going to lack as a whole. So this is kind of going to an extreme right here. This is probably overboard. Zoom out. Sometimes I like to, well, not sometimes. I always am zooming in and out. Oh shit. My mouse thing bumped to the wrong layer. Sorry. I like to zoom in and out because then you get a whole view of the composition as a whole, and you can a lot of times see any errors or parts that need more work. But it's also nice just to zoom way out and then you paint way zoomed out. You never want to do the opposite. You never want to really zoom in unless you're focusing on some crazy detail just for a short while and then zooming back out. But if you're spending the whole majority of the time painting zoomed in a couple 100%, you might have a rough time. It's hard to keep your painting consistent and to match overall if you're constantly zoomed into one little portion of it at a time. Unless you get some crazy advanced planning, or if you're just copying a photo like super close. It's really nice to get out of that zoom once in a while, to really get a whole broad view of your painting. Just trust me, you will find some stuff that's messed up. So I think I'm gonna have kind of two big light sources on this one. I'll have something that's kind of like maybe in here or back in here. That's kind of too centered though. But I'm gonna for sure have kind of a nice back bounce light coming from back behind composition. That's what will be on these rocks here and here. Kind of thinking about that stuff as you're painting it. There's a lot to think about. It's overwhelming, but fun at the same time. So, I might do like a nice blue bounce light, but that's kind of overdone. I don't know. I might change it up. I could do a warmer bounce light there. Oops. This is probably the most brain work of the painting, is early on when you're sketching and figuring out composition, because you really got to think and plan things out. Then as you go farther and you just are doing little details, that's where it can kind of be fun and mindless in a sense, that you can just chip away at portions. That's where I have the most fun and it's the most relaxing because you just, I don't know, like I said, you can just be mindless about it a lot of the times. So far we have, oh, Neto. Hello to Mexico. Thank you for watching. You're actually, Neto, you're actually the first person to ever comment on my stream. So you should take note of that. It's an achievement. I'll make note of that as well. I'll throw a link to your channel. I appreciate it for tuning in. I hope audio and video quality is up to standard. Let me know if anything looks weird. I can try adjusting any settings and whatnot. It's nice painting in black and white to start out, because you can get some of these subtle nuances of value bouncing around, and you'll see a lot more shapes that you normally wouldn't if you were trying to do it in color, and you can miss a lot of things. I hope my pen and tablet is not too loud. Thank you, Anish. Anish, that is a very difficult name to pronounce. I am sorry. Good. I'm glad you can hear everything. Hear and see everything. So I'm going to grab this background color, which you can see it's dead center between the white and black as far as value goes. So I'm going to pick that, and then I do have the sliders up here for hue, saturation, brightness. So you can just turn up the brightness slightly, and I'm going to try and add in. Just going to push the values a little bit more, just to kind of play around with it. Well, it's cool to hear, Nito. I will definitely check out your stuff. Argentina, awesome. Dang, I don't even know what time is it. What's the time zone? I mean, I guess I'm Central U.S. time zone, so it's almost 10 p.m. here. But I'm glad you guys are tuning in. This is a lot of fun. Just kind of doodling, so if you watched from the beginning, I don't know if some of you guys are just jumping in. I'm just testing out the stream and playing around with this new brush that I created. I don't think you're second, Emmanuel. You're what, the fourth person to comment. We got Nito in first, Anush second, Cold Blue Light. Appreciate you guys swinging in. I'm just carving out shapes right now, kind of going back and forth and picking different colors and or different values and jumping around. I don't know. I'm not really liking this shape right here. I'm not really liking that for some reason. It is kind of ugly. Almost 2 a.m. for you? That's pretty late. Let's see. It's a very good question, Elizabeth. So yeah, I mean, most of mine I haven't put a ton of time. I mean, there are a few studies that, you know, I'll you know, spend hours and hours and get all the details just how I want them. But then a lot of times, and the actual like speed paintings, you know, I'm just trying to get a general mood down, kind of like the old impressionistic masters. You know, you just want to get that overall impression onto the painting. So yeah, there's a few ways that you can, you know, keep the eye moving and captured across the whole thing. And, you know, it's by contrast and values, so you can still get a focal point and something appealing for the eyes without, you know, doing detail. And yeah, that's through color, through contrast, through shapes. You know, I could have, so let's say on this painting right here, I have all these pillars, right, that are kind of going up. But then if I was to have some like circle, you know, circular pod thing growing out of this rock, your eye's gonna go directly to that. I mean, there's ways that I could make it, you know, less distracting if it was, you know, around the same value, and then it probably wouldn't be that much of a focal point. But, you know, shape is one way of doing it. If I throw up, not actually throw up, but if I put on, you know, a bright white there, your eye is going directly to that. Especially with the rule of thirds, you know, if you want to keep your focal points in one of these 4 areas, and that's just kind of naturally where the eye will go generally in the painting, and that's the most pleasing. So yeah, I can do that by having, you know, certain colors that really pop from others. I could have a muted canvas, and then if I, you know, put something in there, boom, your eye's going right to that. So there's a lot of different ways to do it without actually going into crazy detail, that you can still make something very pleasing. Like right now, I mean, like this rock structure, I don't know, I'm really liking some of these shapes in here, and it just looks really cool. And it looks like a rock, but with very few brush strokes. Like, I did not spend a lot of time on this, and you can go back and watch the stream in the earlier portions, unless you've been watching early on. But, you know, it's I still feel like I'm not super fast, and that's okay. Like, you don't have to be a fast painter. That doesn't make someone a good painter if they're fast. But, you know, there's some people, and there's some things that I can paint that, you know, you just do a couple brush strokes and it'll look exactly like, you know, whatever you're trying to portray. And that's, you know, it just takes a lot of study or using references. If you're using a reference, then you can really just look and be like, oh yeah, one stroke there, and then boom, it looks like, you know, a rock or a tree. Just takes a lot of practice. Anush, no, actually, I did not go to school for concept art. I did go to school for traditional fine art. I'm an oil painter, but not for concept art. It's just always been something that I love. I love video games, play video games. I love sci-fi movies. So it kind of just comes naturally to, be obsessed with sci-fi type art and concept art and, coming up with these, weird things that you don't normally see in life. But, I kind of think that a lot of artists, are concept artists, even if they're not called that, because a lot of people will paint surreal things. Any surreal painting is going to be a form of concept art, concept painting. And no, I don't think you have to go to school to be good at concept art. I mean, I know that there's a ton of artists out there, a ton of concept artists that are in the business that didn't go to school for it. A lot are self-taught. You can learn so much now online, like on YouTube, on lynda.com, on all these other resource sites. It's just super cool. And yeah, you should know some of the traditional stuff, and traditional art forms definitely help, but it's not like I learned how to paint in Photoshop at school. I learned how to hold a brush and paint on canvas, mix certain paints. Color theory was a huge thing. So there's a lot of stuff that carries over into both directions, which is very cool. So, I still jump back and forth from oil painting, which I was just doing earlier today, and digital painting, what I'm doing now. But I've always had a special place in my heart for digital painting. I actually kind of started on digital painting before going to school and wanting to go to art school. So, Nito, it is not my main job, but my main job, I am in Photoshop all day. So I am spending at least 40 hours a week in Photoshop. I'm actually a photo retoucher. So I retouch photos and do all that, which actually has given me the chance to do some illustrations in Photoshop, which is pretty cool. That the agency I work for, they'd contact me and be like, hey, can you whip up this painting for this? I was actually, it's my first year. So I've been at the agency for 3 years. And the first year, Cox Communications, which is this company in the Southwest US, they had this new campaign for Go All Digital, something, whatever. But they were going to buy a painting to use as a backdrop for like $9,000. But instead, they just came and asked me. So I was able to whip up a digital painting. So they were going to buy an old oil painting for like $9,000, just the copyright, just the usage. So instead they asked me, so I was like, hey, I can do this in Photoshop. And then what's cool about it in Photoshop, I was able to take a chunk of it, like a tree, like let's say, there we go. Sorry, it's being really laggy. So I could take a thing and I could manipulate it after the fact, which they would never be able to do with the oil painting. So I was able to have a tree over here, and I was like, oh, but you want it here for this crop, and here, and here, and they were able to use it in multiple different formats, which was really cool and super helpful for them. So no, it is not my full-time job for digital painting and concept art, but I am using Photoshop on the daily. Which there is an endless amount to know in Photoshop, but they have helped hand in hand. It's really cool. There's some people there that I work with that have been in Photoshop since the very first version of Photoshop, and they know a ridiculous amount and a lot of printing side to it, and there's just a lot of knowledge to know in it, and it has helped me actually a lot with my art and digital painting. Knowing how to use different adjustment layers, how different there's just so much that has helped back and forth. But on the flip side of that, painting has also helped in my retouching. So like if I'm retouching on a portrait, using my Wacom tablet, I'm also able to like paint hair and such, and paint little strands, and retouching on a portrait, you know, you can paint little parts, and it's helped tremendously. So I actually convinced all the other retouchers that I work with to use Wacom tablets, because before I came there, they were all using just a mouse, which I can't even use a mouse anymore. I have to use my Wacom tablet. So that commission for the backdrop, it actually took quite some time, but here's the kicker. I know you guys are going to cringe and you're going to hate me and probably scold me. Since I was on company time and I'm salaried, I was not paid beyond my salary. But, I mean, I was working, I was at the office, doing it only at the office. It's not like I did it at home or anything. So it was, you know, it was like 40 hours of, I mean, it was like 40 plus. So, I mean, you could guesstimate around, like, probably like around 1,000. But, you know, I was just getting paid my normal salary. So, no, I did not get paid extra for that painting. And I'm still kind of bitter about it, but whatever, it's over with, and it was a cool experience, and it's a portfolio piece. So yeah, I'm really bad with commission pieces and charging accurately. I always am just way too Minnesota nice, and yeah, it's not a good thing. So yes, charge correctly for your work. Charge your hourly time, your material time, or your material costs. Don't be like me. I am a terrible role model with commission work. Krita. Can this be done in Krita? I am going to be dead honest, and I have never used Krita, but I'm going to go ahead and say yes, that it can be done in Krita. And I would encourage it. So, I mean, Photoshop is just a tool. The only thing I have done so far, I mean, there's been nothing in Photoshop that I've done beyond 3 layers. Actually, I'm going to merge this down. 2 layers and a Wacom tablet and 1 single brush. I've only used 1 brush this whole time. Granted, it's not anything pretty right now. But yes, I think it can be done in Krita. I've seen a lot of good art come out of Krita. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. Krita. Regardless, yeah, it can be done. It can be done in GIMP. It can be done, you know, probably not Microsoft Paint, but yeah, if that's all you have, I mean, use the tools that you have. If, you know, bust out some pen and paper, scan that in. It's kind of endless with this. You know, or just find other ways to get Photoshop. I'm not saying how you should get it, but there are other ways of getting Photoshop if you cannot afford to purchase. I do not have a mood board for this piece, actually. I haven't got that far. It's kind of a spur of the moment that I was testing out my cam twist and getting the stream set up, and I hit start, and so I just started painting. Didn't really think anyone was going to be watching, so it's kind of more so just for my own pleasure. So no, there's not a mood board, which that is a very good question. There probably should have been. But whatever, this one's kind of, it's just sloppy as is, and you know, something may come out of it, but I kind of just enjoy answering your guys' questions and trying to help, maybe teach a thing or two, even if it's just one thing. I mean, that's cool with me. I probably am not that full of knowledge. So how do I know what colors would work here? So, I mean, there's multiple different ways, but right now this is just a value sketch. So I wanted to get the values down, and then I can go in and I could show you guys how to color black and white from once you get to this stage, and then jumping into color. But there's a lot of different ways, and you know, you can use different color harmonies. You can reference other paintings or photos and kind of get your general mood down. Like, was that Anush was saying, if I had a mood board, which is a very good point to have, you know, a palette and reference images and an overall mood, like you said, to get this down so that, you know, you're not kind of just going in blind, but you kind of have an idea. But since I'm just doing values right now, it's not that terrible that I didn't really establish anything. But, you know, I'm kind of thinking of different colors, but mainly it's just values right now. And then once I get that in, then I can go in and experiment and try a few different things. Let's see. So yeah, I don't really, I mean, some colors are kind of going through my head and ideas, and maybe some greens if I'm going to do, I mean, it can go multiple ways. Like if I keep this just kind of like a rocky terrain, you know, it could be like a more red sunset. It all depends on the time of day. It's kind of like later in the day, I think, and more duskish. And then there'll be some like bounce light coming from back this way, so it could be like warm tones from the sunset with some light shining through, or, you know, it could be more of a jungle theme, so I could do all these greens. I could do like moss growing everywhere. It can go a ton of different ways, and that may not happen till later in the stage. But since this isn't really, you know, a commission piece or for anything that is specific, it can go in a ton of different directions. That's cool to hear, Elizabeth. Thank you for confirming on Krita. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I'm sorry. But yeah, I mean, there's similar brushes, and it's very similar. Another one is Art Rage, which is pretty cool. You can get a lot of different oil painting textures and more traditional medium textures, which is pretty cool. But I'm gonna have to say that Photoshop is king. I don't know. It's my go-to program. I mean, I work in it all day, and nothing can beat it for me. I don't know if this shape is weird. So I haven't zoomed in, but I'm doing some detailed portions. Ooh, see now, like this little spot here, when you're just looking at the painting overall, does your eye go right there? Like mine is going right there, because this seems to be a pretty harsh contrast. Even though, of course now I can't undo that. Even though this has the darkest areas, since there's not a lot of contrast, because it goes from here to another kind of dark gray. But since this is so stark and sharp right there, your eye is going right there. So Anush is asking what type of brushes I use. And this whole time I've only used one, and I actually made it at the start of the stream. I don't know if anyone here was watching, but so it looks like, let me get, so the brush I'm currently using looks like that, and I just made it. I just clicked. So I started a new document, clicked once with a hard round brush, and then I used a mask and kind of made that soft round edge. So then I can blend kind of on the bottom while keeping a hard edge. I like having, you know, hard edges and soft edges throughout your painting. You don't want to, what I see a lot of times with some, I'm going to say some gross amateur paintings, although I create gross amateur paintings too. But what I see is that a common issue is someone will use one brush or a couple brushes and they're all either hard edges or all either soft edges, and that's a huge turnoff in a painting. There needs to be a good variety, just like in a drawing with line weight, how you want your drawing to have, you know, some thick lines and some thin lines. You want your painting to do the same and have variety throughout. Otherwise it's super boring or just not pleasing. So, you know, I've seen it like where everyone will just like, someone will just use the same chalk brush over and over, and it has like these like this weird spacing and these weird edges, and if you're not blending properly, it's just, I don't know, it just bugs me really bad, and I'm sure it bugs a lot of other people. Maybe some people like it, I don't know. I think it looks terrible. So that's where, when I actually jump through on my brushes, I'm mainly using these like first 6 brushes, or 6. So I love, you know, the hard round and hard soft, like these 2 bottom ones. Not the first 2 so much because they're kind of harsh and they have weird spacing and not good opacity jitter. But the last one is really good, even if you modify it. I like it where it keeps the same shape, or excuse me, the shape and size, depending on pen pressure. I mean, this one's nice when you're doing like certain different things, but I really like the solid size with no spacing if you adjust that. So I mean, you ask what brushes are the main ones that I use. It's those, and then one other one, which I don't know if I made a video with, I think with my pack, but I may create a new download link where you guys can download my brushes. But there is this guy right here, and this is one of my favorite brushes, and it's kind of just like a chalky brush, but gives the ability for, you know, nice hard edges, and you can still blend and do some really cool stuff with it. And then if you use it like really light, you can get like texture, like for mountains or rocks or trees. And, oh shit, I didn't realize I was on my same layer. So yeah, there's a ton of stuff you can do with that. I ran out of save. Okay, that's cool. So I can just paint over, I don't care. It's one layer. I didn't have enough histories slots for saves, but whatever. So yeah, I see people constantly asking, you know, what type of brushes do you use? What are your brushes? And it's really just a minor part of painting and a minor tool. Like, if you go up to an oil painter and ask him, you know, what brush he used or what, you know, what was his tools, he might slap you. My painting professor, if you asked her what colors she used, what tubes of paint or anything, she would just storm away and be super upset. It's kind of offensive. It's not offensive to me, sorry, I didn't mean to say it that way, but it's not a huge deal, you know, what brushes you use. Like, I'm gonna go back to using just this one single brush because I want to do the whole painting with just this one, just to kind of prove, you know, you can. It's not always about the tool. It does help though. I mean, I won't argue that brushes definitely can help you out, but it's not something to get stuck on or worried about too much. You'll discover new brushes, and I highly encourage you to make your own. You know, you just go in, create a new document, and just fool around with making some different brushes, and then you can see what you like and what you don't like. Just cut the ones you don't like and don't ever see them again. But I guarantee you'll find some cool ones. You know, you can take some cool things, like this one that I have is this tree which I would never use, that just sticking out somewhere ever. Of course, now my thing's being weird. But, I may use like some of these top edges for part of a tree and then mask this out and erase all that. Do not be sorry for questions at all, please. I encourage questions. It's actually better than me just sitting here in silence trying to focus on this. So now I kind of want to, leave, like this shape is cool for your eye to kind of bounce off of this shape over here. So I kind of want it to be here and then like guide throughout, maybe swing down and then back into this area, but that's still kind of centered. I may move things around in the composition a little bit. So this, I want to keep, some contrast from the background, but I am darkening this shape a little bit, but not to the same value of this, since this is so far in the foreground. But I want to mute it a little bit so your eye doesn't go directly and only to this front shape, because that would not make it that pleasing. So, Cool Blue Light is asking, what is the best way to share your art? Oh wait, and I guess Elizabeth asked. One second, let me read this chat. So the social media platform actually that I have, that's the biggest for me actually is YouTube. I've been doing it for a while and it just built up over time. I had that, I think it's on my main channel, the Apple tutorial got shared a bunch, and one of my landscape ones kind of spread. I think people are always trying to figure out landscapes because their landscapes are so fun and they're just so fun to draw and paint. But YouTube is my biggest for sure. I actually just created an Instagram account for my art. I had one, a personal one, but I just made one actually today for my art. And I've been thinking about streaming on Twitch as well, which actually brought me to here, streaming on YouTube first. I figured I'd start here since I have subscribers anyways. But I would say Instagram right now is kind of the big one to go to with art. Create a separate like art page and then follow some artists and then try to invite your friends and then just start spreading it. YouTube is a great way to make money as long as you can get the followers and get the views and kind of know what your viewers want to see and what new viewers would want to see and get your target audience. If you're going to do art, only do art on your YouTube channel. Don't really make it art and funny memes and cars and how to build a house. You want to have it one central thing. Do that, and then you be persistent about it. Upload content all the time. That's going to be your main breadwinner there. So just constantly keep doing it. It's going to be discouraging to not get any followers, trust me. I started and I was getting pumped when I would have like 20 views on a video, and like multiple videos were getting like 50 views, and it just, you get hyped. But then at times you'll get bummed, like why is no one watching this, or why is no one liking this piece, and you just can't give up. You just got to be persistent about it. So try to create pages on every platform is what I would encourage. Start uploading videos. Get, even if you're using, a crappy camera, or if you're doing digital, just screen record with QuickTime. Upload videos, upload content on Instagram, upload to a Facebook page, link those pages together, have a Twitter. Just keep posting, and you're going to improve, but try not to get too caught up on how many likes you have, and you'd be surprised. It's just going to come natural. And as you start improving, maybe you're super good. I guess I haven't checked out your page yet, but if you're phenomenal, or over time you're gonna get super good. Just keep at it, and if you build it, the followers will come. Where am I from, and do I know Spanish? Salchicha salado no me gusta. Something about salty something I don't like. Por favor. Cinco de Mayo. No, I don't know any Spanish. I apologize. I'm actually from Minnesota, United States of America. So I'm way up north. Oh, I don't know why. I'm kind of zoning out and like doing random shapes. I didn't really like that shape at all. That's weird. These smooth shapes, I don't know why I was getting too smooth there. What video game would I play? I play a lot of video games, and I have played a lot of video games. Let's see. I've actually been playing a lot of Rainbow Six Siege, which is just, you know, basic first-person shooter, but I've been playing that since release, which is super addicting, similar to Counter-Strike. But, you know, I loved Skyrim. Skyrim was phenomenal. Love all the Fallout series. I used to play Oblivion, you know, before Skyrim. Let's see, I love, you know, RPGs. Anything fantasy related is always fun. I just got Just Cause 3 because it's actually free for PlayStation 4 right now. Doom, I was playing Doom last week, super fun. Let's see. Man, I should have like 1,000 more games that I know. Project Cars. I actually love cars, and racing games are always fun. Let's see. Sorry, it's kind of hard to think right now. I'm trying to think about these rock shapes. Final Fantasy, yes. I actually did. I played Realm Reborn for a little while. That was years ago. And I actually have Final Fantasy 15, but I've only put a couple hours into it. A couple hours out of the 2,000 that are required to beat it. But yes, Final Fantasy is always a good choice. It's a time suck though. Like, if you want free time, don't play Final Fantasy. Minecraft, no. That's actually a hard pass on my end. It's a cool game, but it's just not for me. Never really got into it. I mean, it's cool and all. To each their own. But not for me. What are so many of your guys' top favorite games? I'd really like to hear that. I also love when certain games will have different achievements and different rewards that include concept art. So when you can actually go through and look at stuff that was like never published before. It's like one of the most satisfying, rewarding things. Like The Last of Us was one of my favorite games of all time. Bought that on release and played that relentlessly. And I just remember in Last of Us they released a ton of concept art, And that was super inspiring stuff. Their team was super good. Do I paint clouds? Ooh, that's a good question. I, for some reason, have always struggled with clouds. I don't know what it is. I have been meaning to do multiple studies, which I will totally stream some studies. Like, I will definitely, that's a great idea. I'm going to write that down. That is one of my weak points. For some reason, I understand clouds, I understand their shapes, I understand all that, but for some reason, I don't know, I just can't. My eye's bad with them, so I need to practice them. I need to study them. I need to, find some solid references. I would just recommend use references. Used a hard round brush and a soft round brush, or this brush that I have right here. And I have a good friend that got into digital painting around the same time as me, and he was phenomenal with clouds. Like, clouds was his thing. And that's all he did was a hard round and soft round brush, and you just rotate between them, and his stuff was unreal. So, no, I'm not good with clouds, but I will be. I will make that a goal to. I love clouds. Lately, like, for some reason this year, I've been seeing so many ridiculous clouds, sunsets, and different formations, and it's like only been this year that I've really seen a lot, and it's strange to me. Orient Blind Forest. Ooh, Uncharted, Kingdom Hearts, nice. Do you inspired in some video games arts to make some concept arts? I guess I don't fully understand your question, Nito. Do you inspired in some video game arts? I don't know. Are you asking if video game art inspires my own art? Or if that's the case, yes, of course. I mean, ingesting different media such as sci-fi movies or games and stuff, that's always inspiring to me. But I might be rereading your question wrong. I will be back 1 second. Oh, it's been an hour and I have not saved this painting, and that is terrifying. I'm just going to save it to the desktop. Will I be making this stream into a YouTube video? I believe so. Does it... So this is my first time streaming on YouTube. and I'm not sure if it plays, or sorry, if it records automatically. I'm really hoping it's recording. Yeah, I will make this into a YouTube video if it did in fact record, but I don't know if it is recording or not. Well, I'm painting a lot of rocks in here. Rocks are really fun and satisfying to paint. You just gotta think, you know, they're like any other geometric shape with multiple planes and faces. Yeah, don't worry about it, Nito. I apologize that I guess I didn't really understand it, but I hope I kind of answered it. That yeah, video games do inspire my art. You know, everything that you ingest in your day should inspire your art. You can find inspiration basically anywhere you go. I'm really liking it. I don't know, this thing is really cool. And it was kind of random when I first started. Trying not to fall asleep. It is 10:30 here. It's only been an hour of streaming. I didn't think I would make it this far. I thought it would just be a test and that no one would be watching. So thank you. So you kind of want to dissect your landscape painting into multiple planes and multiple different, I'll kind of, you know, shoot an example here. So right now I have this kind of shape going on. Oops. Sorry, my Mac's been really weird. Oh, whoa. So I got a shape right here, you know, kind of these darks, and then I'll come in with an opposite triangle coming this way and kind of light there, and then the background way back there is a whole nother shape, and then these different vertical shapes. So you gotta constantly think about composition, but like, you know, I may come in and I may do like a light streak here that cuts across, you know, for something more appealing. So like we have this light over here coming in from behind this, kind of from the back side. So I may do like a shape from here to here, if that makes sense. Now, you know, create some something fun right there. Something more interesting than just having shape, and then background, the three different planes. So sometimes it's nice to break it up and create these light leaks that will shoot across to create a lot more interesting light. Are you by chance making any tutorial videos in the future? Yes, I do plan on making. I mean, I would like to. I'm always open for suggestions. I'm really liking this. The streaming right now is definitely cool, so I may continue to do this. But yeah, I always want to make tutorials. I'm always trying to find time to. Sometimes it's tough, and sometimes it's tough to get the inspiration and really drive to get into it. But Yeah, I mean, if there's certain things that you guys are really wanting to, like, I'll try to do the clouds. Like, I'm going to try to really study clouds and then pass on any gained knowledge forward. You know, if you guys are struggling with clouds, you know. Yeah, so Nito, you're wondering about my inspiration. Yeah, I mean, it stems from a lot of different things. Like, you know, sometimes you'll just do a study of a certain movie that you really liked. Like, let's say you liked Alien or Prometheus or some, you know, something cool like that, and you'll do a painting based off that, and you'll learn from that, and you'll kind of, maybe the alien form you really like, but you didn't want to do an exact copy of it, so you kind of do something similar but not exactly. Its inspiration comes from anywhere, you know. It doesn't have to just come from, like, so if you're a concept artist, it shouldn't just come from other concept artists or from video games and all that. You can find it in life. You can go walk down the street and there'll be something cool. Like, maybe you walk by some farm and you're like, wow, I could paint, you know, like a futuristic farming piece of equipment, you know, like I'm gonna paint this big tractor thing that sucks up all the corn, you know, something dumb like that. So it's not just in leisure things, but it can be found everywhere. So, you know, always try to sketch as much as you can and doodle and just write down any like unique ideas, and just always try to, you know, paint every day and study every day. You know, you just got to keep practicing. That's all it is. And then once you've studied your brains out and you understand how certain forms and shapes work, then you can start expanding into cool concepts and using that into your in your own actual work, and commission some stuff and maybe become a concept artist. What do you use? Sorry, I missed some stuff. Nathan asked, what do you use for your digital art? What's your computer and tablet? And do you use pen in hand or a mouse? Good question. Sorry, that's really loud. I actually use a MacBook Pro and a 27-inch iMac for my actual hardware. But I plan on building a PC, something more powerful that I can record better and use. And I actually have a better graphics carding, because I've been starting 3D stuff recently. I've been jumping into Blender and ZBrush, which is like the future of any 2D artist, is to also be in 3D. It sounds backwards, but if you want to be a good 3D or a good 2D artist, you basically are going to have to learn 3D. It will completely change everything, because you can build these landscapes in 3D, bring them into Photoshop flattened, and then paint over them, and you already have all your perspective down. You have so many shapes already made, but then you do, you know, the hard work of coloring and painting after you get those shapes down, and it's just the way it's going now. So yeah, I use an iMac, MacBook Pro, and then a Wacom Intuos 4 tablet, which I've actually had for like 7 years now. I've had the same small Wacom tablet for 7 years. I've tried a large. I don't like the larges. I mean, they're nice and all, but it's just way too big, and I feel like your arm just gets destroyed and your shoulder, and I don't know, I felt more relaxed and comfortable with a small where I can barely move my arm and I'm really precise with it. So yeah, I'm using a pen tablet. I do want to get a Cintiq though. Someday I'll be able to afford a Cintiq, and if you guys don't know what a Cintiq is, it's made by Wacom as well, who I would argue is the best. They're by far the best tablet company for pen tablets. But the Cintiq is where you actually draw on the screen. It's actually a built-in, I think it's an LCD screen that you paint on, and it displays your whole Photoshop canvas and everything. So one day I'll have those. I think that from what I've read and researched, I've never got to test one, but supposedly it really helps the painting process. Rocks, waves, and water. Well, you're getting your rocks right now. Super fun to do. I would just encourage you to study, you know. As much as I say that, you just need to find some good reference photos, and then you just stare at some rocks and you paint some rocks, and you paint individual rocks, and you paint individual waves, and you just understand why they're shaped the way they are, what's causing it to do that, color, how colors work on them, what kind of material, like surface it is. But so with like rocks here, so you just, you know, I have a light source coming in from here and then one from back somewhere in there. I haven't really established it fully, but there's backlit there. So of course I'm going to have, you know, the bounce light on this side here, here, and then other planes are going to be in shadow. So rocks are just, you know, it's like you could take a square, a cube, place that there, but then you kind of distort that cube and make different shapes out of it. So it's all geometric shapes. Everything can be broken down into geometric shapes, which makes rocks will become super natural to you, and they're super fun because it's not like, I mean, you could draw a rock in so many different ways, and no one's going to be like, oh, that doesn't look like a rock, because who are they to say that when there's rocks of every type of shape and size. Kind of like an F, I'm not sure. Who is my favorite artist? I mean, I guess I don't know if you are referring to digital artist or like traditional painter or old master. Let's see. I love Noah Bradley. I mean, I'm sure you guys know Noah Bradley. He's phenomenal. Super good, super inspiring. But I think my all-time favorite digital artist would be Feng Zhu. That dude is unmatched, unreal in his design skills. He doesn't even call himself a painter or an artist. He's just a designer, and he's like an engineer in a sense. But that guy is super good. I do not have a Pinterest, I'm sorry. Water can be very complicated to paint. It is pretty difficult, especially like rippled, wavy water in the middle of the day. It can be very, very tough. Look at, I'm painting some water right here. There's a little stream. It's very reflective. Nothing that you can't learn, though. I believe in you. So that, you got that, is it Huion tablet? I was actually looking at that one. I've heard a lot of good things about it, so I'm sorry if I didn't mean to diss it when I was talking about the Cintiq. It's just the most well-known, but I was very interested in that tablet for the price, and so it's been good for you. There hasn't been like issues or anything, because for $450 compared to the Wacom for like $2,100, that's a huge price gap. Traditional artists, I loved Francis Bacon, Walls, Rothko. Obviously Rembrandt and all those are phenomenal. Paul Kazan, Monet, any of the impressionistic artists are just huge inspirations all around. Monet, Manet, all of them. Cool. I will definitely check out your review. That will be very helpful in my pursuit of a drawing tablet because, yeah, I watched a few reviews on those and they did look pretty rad and the price is not bad. So now from the early on painting, you can see it right here. There's like this weird line shooting off and that like goes perfectly through that rock. So obviously that looks weird, even though that could be a cool shape if it was like over here, but I'm gonna go ahead and blend that out. So just constantly be on the look for composition issues like that where something is, you know, creating this unnatural shape. Even if you're painting something unnatural, you want to look for weird plays in shape. Like this is almost, this river stream thing is almost too straight and long and then just cuts back. So I kind of want to break it up like right in here. So, you know, I may like create this higher right there. So it's just getting broken up. But that color is now competing with the Can you guys hear? I don't know. Everything good here? Perfect.
This is way too real.
Really?
Like, I don't know if I can.
Sorry, I have my mic muted. For some reason, my stream just ended. My encoder just decided that the stream was over. Is it back? Sorry, it was muted. I don't know what I want to do with this thing. created like some arch. I want to do that. Alright, change composition plans, boys and girls. So I have that stream coming from there. Where could that go? What's that like? Is the audio still cracking? Is it? 1 second. It should be good. Let me adjust my mic. Maybe it just wasn't picking up a bunch. I adjusted the mic, moved it a little bit closer. It should be better, but I can't promise that. So you asked if I draw or paint in a sketchbook often. Yes, I try to sketch often. It is super bad. Is it still super bad? It is super bad. Is it still super bad? Maybe it's because I was streaming myself and maybe I was sucking up too much bandwidth. Yeah, I try to draw often. You know, you gotta try to draw every day. Sometimes at work, like I won't have a lot of time to draw and I'll just have a little notebook or a little piece of like note paper next to me. And I will use that. Just to sketch little thumbnails. I'm always trying to kind of do some cool thumbnails and figure out different interesting composition. Check. Let me know how the audio is. Check, check, check. How does the sound quality sound? I don't know if I'm liking the arch. Thanks, Anush. That means a lot. Staticky. Why is it doing that? Let me know. Can you hear anything decent? Check, 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 mic. I apologize, that's really annoying. Crackle. Yeah, I'm actually not using SoundSlower right now, even though I should be. But I will figure that out tomorrow. Definitely get this going again. Alright, I guess I'm going to bail for now, guys. I really appreciate you swinging in on my first stream. But I'm going to have to call it quits. I'm having too many issues with the stream right now. But I will definitely try to hop on tomorrow and have more fun with this. Seriously, thanks again for you guys swinging in.